Hey guys, Mama Sam here. So today I have a pretty fun little video planned. I am going to be telling my personal ghost stories. Something I've been wanting to do for a while. I think it's just good old fun, ghost story fun. So I just wanted just a couple things I want to touch base on real fast. I'm wearing my headset today. The audio for my Doctor Strange video yesterday was awful. I'm so sorry. I'm still trying to figure out the software. Like I said, I've said it a million times. I'm brand new. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm totally doing this from the ground up without any knowledge of computers and software. And like, I didn't realize I was going to have a microphone and, I'm going to have like a better webcam. Yeah, it's a total learning process. So that's why I'm wearing my headset today. Also, this headset picks up on every single thing, like everything. It's not noise canceling. When you hear me, when I'm playing my Minecraft videos, you can hear me playing with my controller. So until I get a pair of noise canceling headphones, this is kind of what we got. So hopefully I can get a microphone soon so that I can have it, for when I'm actually on the computer talking to you guys, and also a better camera. So I apologize for the videos not being that good. So anyway, also, I don't really have a definitive schedule yet. Hopefully by next week I will have a better grasp on what my schedule is going to be. I know for sure Sundays we're going to continue with anything with The Sims, whether it's gameplay or news or anything. There is actually, I think, a new expansion pack coming out that I think I'm actually going to like. Yay! So I might be talking about that Sunday with my other Sims video. Also, Fridays will definitely continue with the gaming series, with The Last of Us being the next one. It's going to fall in place eventually. We're going to get there. This is the first time I feel like I've really stuck to something, haven't given up, even though this has been probably one of the hardest things I've ever done as far as trying to make a career out of. But it also feels like it's filling something in my life that's missing. So it makes me happy, whether I have 0 subscribers or if I end up with 1 million. Wouldn't that be amazing? I don't care because it makes me happy. So, all right. I have set the mood. I'm wearing my dark lip color. I've covered the windows so it's dark. I've got my scary candles in the background and the one that's kind of broken that keeps turning on and off. I don't know. Oh, there it goes. So let's get into this ghost story. I have a few ghost stories to share. I don't know if I'll get to all of them here. Always leave them wanting more, right? But I'm going to tell you the one that I remember the most, and that is probably the best ghost story that I have, if it was a ghost. I don't know. When I was 14, we lived in this house it was on like Decatur and something. I don't know. It's in Vegas. It was up the street from the McDonald's on Decatur. My dad is like a full-on carpenter. He can build a house out of literally nothing. So my parents have always had the habit of, whenever they buy a new house, they always buy like a dumpy, really disgusting house most people would turn away from, that is really low in value, and completely gut it, remodel it, and make it into this really beautiful house. In fact, where my mom's living at right now, they did the exact same thing. My dad is just, it's amazing. He can build a house. And then my mom is amazing at decorating them. Like, they should have their own show, for real. So anyway, my parents bought this house. I want to say it was built between like the 40s and the 60s, somewhere in there. When you first walked into this house before they remodeled it, it was like a blast from the past. It was like finding a time capsule. This house was like, there was shag carpet. The walls were orange. It was so weird. Okay, so after the house was remodeled, my room was the garage. It's Vegas, and I didn't have air conditioning in the garage. That is not my room. It was so hot in that room. So hot. I barely ever slept in that room. So it all started, like, I came home from school one day. I think I was in 9th or 10th grade. And my mom was just like, yeah, there's been some weird stuff going on in the house. My mom, she was a stay-at-home mom. My brother, he was like 7 at the time. My sisters were babies. Like my youngest sister, I think she was like 1. Seriously. And then my middle sister, I think she was like 3 or 4. So they were just little babies. Um, so my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she was like, there's just been some weird stuff going on. I'm like, what are you talking about? She was like, well, stuff has been falling off the shelves. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I don't know. She's like, my knickknacks, they're falling off the shelves. And she's like, they're the ones that are pushed in the back, not the ones in the front. She's like, and they're not hitting the other knickknacks falling off the shelves. It's like somebody's actually picking them up and dropping them. I'm thinking, okay, whatever. And now one day, I wasn't home. I was either at school or it was on the weekend. I was at a friend's, and my mom and my dad were home, and my Aunt Casey was actually there as well. And so they're sitting on the couch talking, and then they just hear slam really loud. And my dad immediately jumps up and he runs to the back of the house because he thought somebody had broke in. And it turns out the bathroom, in the very back room in their bedroom, the door had slammed shut. And my mom, who's already been dealing with some weird stuff, she's like, oh my gosh, it's so freaky. And my dad's like, yeah, it is a little weird. All the windows were closed. This all happened in the summer. So all the windows in the house are closed. Now the air is running. I don't know if it was actually running at the time when the door closed, but the air is on. But my dad was like, whether the air was on or not, there's no way the air would have been that powerful to slam shut a door that was completely open, all the way slammed shut. So, and my dad, he's really level-headed too. And not that he really doesn't, I don't know if he believes in that kind of stuff or not. He never really talks about it. But even he was like, that's weird. So my parents would go up to visit my grandparents a lot. My grandparents lived in Nipton, California, which was past, like about 20 minutes past the state line. So if you've ever been to it's like where Buffalo Bills is, the really big roller coaster, the really big mall, like it's about 20 minutes past that up the mountain. They would go visit every few weekends. And so I didn't want to go. I wanted to stay home. Like I wanted to have the house to myself and, have some alone time or whatever, and or have my friends over and all that kind of stuff. So one of the times my parents went out of town to visit my grandparents, I was home alone, and I have a terrible fear of the dark. So I always sleep with the TV on and a light on in the house. Well, I'm laying on the couch and I'm watching TV. It's nighttime. It's like 10 o'clock. And my brother's door shuts in his bedroom. It was shut in the most dramatic door shutting I've ever heard in my life. It was like, click. Like it took forever for the door to shut and for it to actually like shut in the latch. And I'm just laying on the couch like, what the heck? Is there somebody in the house? I was like so scared. I was too scared to get up and check. I'm like, I'm just going to stay here and pretend like nothing's happening. So I fell asleep. I wouldn't, nowadays got up to check. So we had this TV. It was a dinosaur. This thing was a friggin' dinosaur. And it had started turning on and off by itself. Well, it was an old TV and it was acting up. So I'm not going to just say that out of the blue, it just started turning on and off by itself. But what was weird was we would turn the TV, like the volume would be down, and then we would turn off the TV, and then it would just turn on by itself, and it would be super loud static noises. So it was weird, but the TV could have just been malfunctioning as well. Well, I woke up and the TV was off, and I was like horrified because I never turn off the TV. I was so scared. So I turned it back on and I went back to sleep. Well, I woke up early-ish. It was probably like 6, 7 o'clock. And I heard somebody walking down the hallway, like really soft. It wasn't like heavy, like dum, dum, dum. It was soft, like carpet steps, like they're walking down. And I'm like, oh, they're back already. And I was thinking they came home and went back to bed, I guess. I don't know. I was like, it's weird. But I could have sworn I heard, which I thought was my dad, because my dad, he gets up early. And I thought like it was him walking down the hallway, and that maybe he was just checking on me, or he went and like looked in the kitchen, because it felt like it stopped at the end of the hallway, and like our couch was right there. And I had my back to the hallway, so I couldn't see what was going on. And then I heard the footsteps walk back down the hallway, and I thought, okay, so my parents are home, whatever. Well, then a couple hours later, I get up, like actually to get up, and nobody's home. So I'm like, oh, this was weird. Like this whole time I've been like telling my mom, like I'm thinking, oh my god, my mom's crazy. Then it was like firsthand experience in it, and it's weird. And to talk about it, you can be like, but when it was actually happening and I was there, it was weird. From the span of when it started to when it ended, I'd say it was about a month. So the climax. So to just give you a little bit of context, if you were standing, like our front door, like let's say we're standing in the hallway where the hallway started, you could see the front door. Then if you're looking down our hallway, on the left is my brother's room. And then further down the hallway, my parents' room's on the right and my sister's room's on the left, with my room to the garage going past their room. So I'd have to actually go through my sister's room to get to my room. So I'm sleeping in my brother's room because it's the middle of summer. It's way too freaking hot to sleep in my room. And he had a trundle bed. So he was sleeping on his bed and I was sleeping on the trundle. And then my dad was sleeping in his room. My mom was sleeping with my little sister in her room. So my baby sister was in her crib, and then my middle sister, I know it's kind of confusing, she was sleeping in bed with my middle sister in her room. So I'm laying on the trundle bed and I'm not asleep yet. This was at like 9:30. I think my dad was asleep, but everybody else was like, had just kind of laid down, because my dad, he would get up super early for work. So he was always in bed at like 7 o'clock. And we had all just laid down for the night. So I'm laying in bed. Me and my brother had already talked, and now we're at the point where none of us are talking because we're trying to go to sleep. And I'm just laying there, and my eyes are open. I don't have my eyes closed yet. And I just hear, ah, coming from the back bedroom. I'm not thinking anything of it, just thinking it's like my mom or my sister or something. A couple minutes, like a few seconds goes by, like probably like 10, 15 seconds. My mom walks down the hallway and I see her walk past the door. And then she walks back by the door again. I'm like, what is she? And then she walks back by the door again. I'm like, what is she doing? She walks back into the door and shuts our fan off. We had a floor fan on. She shuts it off. And I sit up, I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? And she was like, did you guys just hear that? And I'm like, hear what? And she was like, did you just hear that, like that singing? And I was like, yeah, I heard it. Me and Josie, both. My brother Josie, he's laying in bed. And we're both sitting up at this point, like, yeah, we both heard it. And my mom is like, okay. My mom is like, can't talk. My mom's like completely floored. And she tells us, she's like, I was just laying in bed with your sister, and we were just kind of talking and giggling. So my little sister is sleeping against the wall. My mom has kind of her back to her, just rolled this way, and her eyes are closed. And she said she just hears like, ah, and she thought it was my sister. Well, then my little sister says, Mommy, did you hear that? And my mom said she was so terrified. Oh my gosh, it gives me goosebumps. Like, my mom said she was so scared she could not open her eyes because she was facing the noise. She thought when she opened her eyes, she was just going to see something from her nightmares. So she slowly opened her eyes and she was like, it's a fear I've never felt. Like, I literally couldn't move. I was so terrified. She said she opened her eyes. There's nothing there. And, she looks at my sister, and then my baby sister, she's sleeping. And so my mom, like, that's when she got up and she started just like wandering the house. Like, she was so confused and scared. She didn't even know what to do with herself. There was nothing there. Nobody in the room. So the creepy thing about it was, after all of that, it stopped. After we heard this like singing, it stopped. And I heard it. Me and my brother, we both heard it so perfectly clear. It was really beautiful sounding. Like, it was really pretty. So yeah, after that, that was it. Everything stopped. We didn't have any other creepy things happen in that house. Never again. But I do remember my friend Ashley came over, and she was my best friend in high school. She was there all the time. After all that stuff happened, she was like, you know what? She's like, I always knew your house is haunted. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, whatever, you're full of it. And she's like, no, really. She's like, your house is haunted. I seen one night when I woke up in the middle of the night. I seen an old man standing in your doorway in your bedroom, and I'm like, you are so full of it. And then she's like, no. And then somebody was like tapping your bed when we were sleeping. I was like, whatever. But she swore, she was like, I'm not staying at your house anymore. Your house is haunted. Anyway, that's it. That's my story. That is the probably most dramatic ghost story I have, because I was like, honestly, from beginning to end, I was kind of there. Like, I was hearing it from my mom, and then I actually experienced like that really, like, I've have other ghost stories. There's been a few things that's happened weird here in this house, and I will talk about that in another video because this video is already getting long enough. That was probably the most ghostly, otherworldly thing that's ever happened that I've ever heard and ever experienced. It was crazy. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. This was a fun little twist on the norm. And if you have a ghost story that you would like to share, please send it to sharewithmamasam@gmail.com. I would love to read it. I would be so excited to read your stories. Also, send your chronic illness stories or your illness just in general stories for me to read and we can discuss. I would love to hear from you guys. So have a great day. I will see you guys next time. Bye, friends.